Hi, this is Lauren Poore, and I'll be demonstrating my Week 3 project for the Adversarial Red Team. I'll start off here with the OpenEMR that was developed over the last couple of weeks. You can see here that the Copilot agent and AI ingestion tools are still in place, so that's what we'll be looking at for this particular project. The system under test is just the sidecar that was invented for these two capabilities and not the OpenEMR in total. Here's the code repository where the project lives. And so here's the attack surface and entry points. We're looking at the entry points here, the places that in the sidecar are most vulnerable to attack. The trust boundaries, I'll go over those in the next slide. And these are the most common threats that are anticipated for each of those entry points. So now we're looking at the trust boundaries here and how they're connected. The OpenEMR SOR ACL is anticipated to be high because it was checked pretty thoroughly in audits over the past couple of weeks. The sidecar chat and tools, LLM provider, and ops surfaces are relatively much lower on trust because those were not as rigorously tested. I wasn't presenting a whole lot of threat to the system in the past couple of weeks, so there will be results from successful attacks on those surfaces. Okay, you can see here. I created a full test case suite of 200 cases. You can see here that there are 6 cases here and then another 10 here in 2 distinct groups. The reason why I did that is because these were called out specifically in the PDR. And there's also a requirement for addressing the OWASP top 10. So I wanted to make sure that there were a distinct set of cases for each to make sure that everything was covered. And the reason why I picked 200 was to make sure that there was significant fidelity and unique cases on all of these particular attack vectors. So we can see here that even though there was high trust in the access control, there were a whole lot of successful attacks and a smattering of other attacks on other surfaces. We'll go over to the successful attacks after the architecture. So now we're looking at the system context here where we see the agents, the orchestrator, which handles all the rules and conduction of tests. The red team does the actual injection of threats. The judge provides the rubric for whether or not the attack was successful, and then everything gets documented. I've developed methods of persistence. I would like database storage, but that was going to take a little too much time. So rather than attempt to do a whole lot of testing, the initial storage is basically in the evals results folder, and the final submission will be SQL with ticketing, a ticketing capability, which was also a little bit out of scope for today, but it's anticipated for the final submission. Again, we stress here that the system under test is just the sidecar. The OpenEMR is out of scope. So let's return to the results for the eval. Okay, these were the successful attacks when I ran the adversarial suite against the OpenEMR. Okay. So then, after I had run all of that and performed a bunch of fixes, what you're looking at here is every single test case. Okay, they are all laid out here, and I didn't want to summarize because I wanted to demonstrate the variability of all of the test cases and how they are laid out here. You'll see here that the second to last column says fail, while this column here says pass. And what that actually means is the judge outcome means the defense held, the attack failed. And so even though it says fail, that's a good thing. And the case result then is pass. It passed the security check. And now with 200 cases, you can see here that there are no failures. Okay. As for some admin, there were updates to the audit.md. There were audits to the threat model document as well as the architecture document.